Welcome back to another another episode of the Football Huddle with yours truly, Zach Wade.
And Daryl Felker.
This week we are unfortunately missing one of our other hosts, Jacob Colombo. He is unfortunately sick, but he will be with us next week. Now, let's jump right into it. Fortunately, LSU had a bye week, so no wins or losses there, so a stress-free weekend. But there was some really good games. Let's start with Texas A&M and South Carolina. I feel like that was a beatdown that no one expected to happen.
I was about to say probably one of the biggest upsets of the weekend. Nobody was kind of expecting. I mean, Texas A&M, they were coming off of. I feel like it's kind of like a recipe for those big upsets. Like the higher ranked team is probably usually coming off of a really emotional win against a really good team, and I don't know how, but it almost feels like they get the big head a little bit. I feel like by now we've seen so many teams drop games like this. You would think that they would be really intentional heading into the game to not sleep. But I mean, on Saturday it was all South Carolina.
But I guess that's what happens whenever you get a chance to actually, prepare for a running quarterback instead of putting one in halfway through and getting. It really looks like Texas A&M got lucky because had LSU prepared or had known that they were going to take that one guy out, I think LSU wins that game 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, and I think just with it being a home game for South Carolina, their stadium is really really underrated. They have one of the best atmospheres in the 100%. SEC. And I think after that home game, they were used to being at Kyle Field, having just the whole stadium on their side. I think traveling to South Carolina and against a really good team, because I mean, even when we played them, their defensive line was tearing us apart the whole game. And that was kind of one of the things that I was excited to see heading into Saturday, because I knew they were going to start Marcel Reed, of course, just based off his success the previous week. But that South Carolina defensive line is fast. They can keep up with them, and they tore them apart on Saturday.
I know, it makes me happy to have a win over them. I guess Mississippi, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
As much as I hate them, they really showed up and showed out. Even after all that flack that Jackson Dart and was getting for going out on Halloween. Thursday a lot of people were saying that wasn't very leadership of him, but he pulled a Johnny Manziel and he went out in I think he threw like 500 yards, 6 touchdowns.
515 and 6 touchdowns. Only had 6 incompletions.
I guess that really shut out those people that were like. I remember I was going on Twitter and that's all I was seeing was what is he doing? This is not a serious team. This is why we'll never win a national championship in Ole Miss, which I still agree with. I don't think Ole Miss will ever win a national championship. Mark my words. But it was nice to see him go out and shut those guys up, as much as I dislike him. But they're still, all in all, they're still college kids. They're still deserving of a good time. They're still in college, so.
I definitely I don't see anything. I think we're kind of like the younger generation. We don't really see a problem with it. If you show up and perform on Saturday, then I don't really care what you do.
Who cares what you do on the weekdays? If you come out and give me 500 yards, 6 touchdowns, you can go get. You can go to the bars all day, all long.
Yeah, against an Arkansas team too, who had been pretty good this season. And it was a big game for Jackson Dart, but their receiver as well, Jordan Watkins. Yeah, he had 5 of the 6 touchdowns receiving. He had 8 catches for 254 and 5 touchdowns. So, a monster game just for the offense. And they ran away with it 63-31 and. They never
looked back.
Yeah, never looked back.
A close game actually was Ohio State and Penn State.
Yeah.
That really could have gone either way, but Ohio State seemed to pull it off.
And I would say I kind of think
wasn't a very offensive game.
Yeah, it's kind of more so on Penn State. I feel like Penn State lost the game.
Yeah.
Like their offense, it's not a high power offense like most of the other top teams.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you get into those really tough games where you have to score, I mean, they had the ball down inside the 5-10 yard line twice.
Yeah.
Did not get any points from it both times. They had an interception, and that was just a crazy play overall. It was like their receiver had the ball and got it taken away from him midair. It was a crazy play. But then the second time, 4th and goal, you roll the dice and you get stuffed. And, I mean, really big kudos, big shout-outs to Ohio State's defense for generating those stops.
But, I mean, you're at home. You have that Penn State environment's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got that whole crowd behind you. I just feel like you have probably one of the better teams that Penn State's seen in a while.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I feel like they should have won this game. I mean, all signs are pointing to them winning. Mm-hmm. Losing at home like this, I just feel like is unacceptable.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough game for them to lose because, like we said, it was a number 3, number 4 matchup. They weren't really outmatched necessarily. I mean, I was questioning if Drew Aller was going to be back because he had gotten hurt last week, but he ended up coming back and playing, so that didn't have any impact on it. So, I mean, yeah, it was a game that I feel like they should have won, but, I mean, if you lose, you lose.
Sometimes the home field advantage isn't always
what it lives up
to be. Yeah. Florida and Georgia, that was a neck and neck game for a while. Yeah. It wasn't until 4th quarter when the quarterback threw a pick that it was kind of really over.
Yeah, and I watched basically the whole game, and I couldn't wait to talk about it because I really feel like Florida was in that game.
They were in it the whole time. They were in it. Until he threw that interception. There wasn't a moment where they were out of it.
Yeah, their defense came up with 3 early interceptions on Carson Beck, and they had him in shambles.
And had their quarterback not gotten hurt.
Yeah, DJ Lagway. I when he went down with the injury, I hate that. Like in those really big games where it feels like they have a big team on the ropes and they can kind of almost squeak out a win. I hate it where it just feels like they didn't get the full opportunity. Yeah. Because, I mean, they had a third. DJ Lagway is already a freshman quarterback.
Yeah. Then you had the backup come in. I mean, he did what he could. Nothing against him. I mean, tough. He went 7 for 22, 66 yards. Yeah. But.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough defense. It's Georgia, so. I think it was going to be tough for DJ Lagway because, I mean, when he was in the game, he wasn't doing too hot. If I'm not mistaken, he had an interception before he went out the game. But, I don't know, it just – he's more comfortable in the system. That's who they've been building around the whole season. Yeah. And I definitely think just paired with how the defense was performing, I think that it would have been a different game if he had been able to stay in. But, I mean, injuries, you can't stop him. You just gotta kind of work around him and take your wins and losses.
Oregon handled Michigan pretty easily. Yeah. I thought that was gonna be a little bit more of a fight, but
Michigan just doesn't seem to have it this year at all. I mean, like we said, I mean, it was at Michigan. I did.
The big house, man. The big house.
I thought they were going to put up a little bit more of a fight, but, I mean, Oregon has been rolling. I think that Boise State game was like a really big scare for them. Yeah. Where it was like, we might not be at the level that we think we are, and we need to really get things together. And, I mean, they've had big wins since then, including the Ohio State win. And, I mean, this was just another one to add to the list where it wasn't necessarily a big win because Michigan's not doing as well as they've done in the previous years. Yeah. But, I mean, it's still a huge win for them just as a team, just keeping the momentum rolling.
And then Boise State still doing what they do best. Yep. Handing the ball off, letting
Genty run wild. And,
I mean, that's pretty much it on big games.
I'll say, you know how we've been talking about Iowa State being undefeated the whole year, and they finally dropped one game. They lost to Texas Tech.
They did.
Texas Tech.
They did.
And I mean, I felt it coming. I mean, as much as we all love a Cinderella story.
Yeah.
don't think Iowa State is at that level to where they can really, like, if they were to make the playoff.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we just had to play off the supposed, the prediction for the playoff drop. Just how, if things ended today, how things would look. And I can't, the teams that were in that playoff, I don't think they can beat any team. I think their best bet would probably be like a Boise State. And even then, I would roll with Boise State over them just because of their star potential and just how they play the game. So yeah, they ended up dropping the game. Kansas State, they lost to Houston.
Yeah,
and that was another really big upset. Clemson, they lost to Louisville. That was another big, really big upset. So I mean, it was a lot of. I really enjoyed this. I think I enjoyed this weekend. A lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
Because I mean, some of the games that I thought
with the closeness and the back and forth, it was a really good weekend. But looking into next, what I'm really looking forward to, obviously LSU and Alabama, but also I'm looking forward to Georgia and Ole Miss. I feel like that's going to be a huge game.
Yeah.
Obviously, I want Ole Miss to lose. They do. Ole Miss does play at home, but it is against Georgia. I just think Georgia's too much for them. I just don't think Georgia drops this game.
Yeah, and I mean, this is, like you said, this is a really big game.
Yeah, huge. For Ole Miss.
I think it's bigger for Ole Miss than
it is. I think Georgia can afford to lose. I don't think they want to, but they can definitely afford to. Ole Miss absolutely cannot afford it. If they lose this, their season's over.
I mean, they're sitting at 16 right now with 2 losses already. Kind of like in the same. They're in that LSU spot almost, where it's like there is no more losing. If we want to have even a shot at the playoff, we have to keep winning. And I mean, that's why. I really do think, I mean, the spread right now is sitting at 2.5 for Georgia. So, I mean, they have it being a close game. And I think Ole Miss is going to bring a little bit more intensity just because of what's on the line, what's at stake. And it's a home game. I do think Georgia's going to pull out the win just because I think they're the better team.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it kind of showed last week with Florida, where it's like, you can hang around, but when it gets down to third, fourth quarter, the better team.
That's what I will say. I do think Georgia knows how to finish a game. Ole Miss, I don't think they can. That's just one thing they're not good at. Because I saw it. Ole Miss, LSU, they won the whole game, and they just, but second half they came out and just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I think that's just going to be their biggest downfall. I think the first half's going to be really huge for them. But the second half, I think Georgia's going to make some big adjustments, and they're not going to be able to start up anything. And from what I've heard, a lot of Ole Miss fans do not like their offensive coordinator. They want him gone. I think, call me crazy if you want, I think Florida finds their first big win in Texas. Against Texas. They always like to keep it close. Every game, I mean, pretty much by Florida has been within 10 points. I feel like.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is the game.
I do think that whether or not DJ Lagway, because they said that his injury actually isn't as bad as they kind of like expected it or thought it was originally. So he might be back for the game this weekend. But I think if it's him or the third string,
if it's the third string, then I'll have to change it. But if Lagway plays, I think Florida's got a good chance. If they can just finish, I think they beat Texas. I just Florida's is just there. They're not good, but they know how to keep around, stay around.
And I mean, Texas is kind of on the ropes right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been good, but they haven't been as dominant as kind of I think a lot of people expected them to.
And this could be an elimination game for Texas too, because they have one loss in the SEC, and I don't know if they can afford one more. With how things are going.
Yeah, I mean things are shaping up like they're really going to come down to the line. With the SEC, just because I mean I think it's like 5 teams now with one loss. It's sitting at like 7-1. So I mean, these last few weeks are going to be really important for all the SEC
everybody.
teams. That I mean, that want to make the playoff or even just make the conference championship.
And also, I think another underrated game this weekend might be Oklahoma and Missouri. I feel like that low-key might be a pretty good game to watch because Missouri is good, but I don't think they're as good as they thought they were at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I definitely think, they kind of had that reality check now. So, I mean, Oklahoma, they're kind of kind of in the same boat.
Kind of the same boat.
Like, we kind of had bigger expectations for them. They've done all right. And, I definitely think that should be a good matchup. Where is it, at Mizzou?
It is at Mizzou.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, Mizzou will probably be able to pull it out in the end. But I definitely think Oklahoma.
I feel like it's definitely going to be a back-and-forth game.
Yeah, they should be able to give them a run for that money, though.
But other than that, there's nothing really sticking out that's like, I mean, you got Army in North Texas, which I don't think that's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Indiana.
I mean, next week I think it's like 2 or 3 really big games, like we said. Georgia, Ole Miss, LSU, Texas A&M is not LSU, Texas A&M,
Bama,
is the biggest game of the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, both teams know it's winner
go home.
Yeah, winner go home. Basically, it's basically a playoff game in week 10. week 11. So I mean, I definitely think that's going to be, the result might not be,
Yeah.
I hope LSU runs away with it.
I hope so too.
We blow them out by 20, 30 points.
That would be so nice.
That would be just so nice.
And College Game Day is coming too, which is, who do you think's going to be the guest picker?
I'm not gonna lie. I could see like a Paul Skeens, but I did hear that the Bengals play tomorrow night on Thursday night. So I definitely think Joe Burrow, maybe even Jamar Chase, that could be an option.
Why not both of them?
Yeah, both.
Why not both of them?
Throw Odell on the stage too. I mean, let's just go ahead and throw all the greats on
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, College Game Day is coming. The whole city of Baton Rouge.
The buzz is.
The buzz is buzzing.
Exactly.
So I think Bama's gonna have a tough time coming in here and getting a win. I mean, they're both coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're both rested. So I mean, I think it's gonna be a really good game, but I think the atmosphere is what's gonna take it over.
And this is the first time DeBoer is coming to Death Valley too.
Yeah.
So let's see how he can handle that.
Yeah, because it's not. I mean, he's been at Washington.
But that ain't nothing there compared to Death Valley.
Nothing. Yeah, it's nothing there compared to this. So and just the build up behind it too. I think.
And I'm pretty sure this is Milroe's first time coming too, because last time they played it was Bryce Young.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Exactly. So. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. It's gonna be a game.
It is. It is. If our fans could just stay past halftime, I think we'll be.
Yeah.
But
I think one game I did want to double back to that happened this past weekend was actually SMU and Pitt. They were number 20 and 8. SMU was actually number 20 and Pitt was number 18, and they blew the doors off the game, 48-25. So I mean, they're sitting at 8-1 now, and I mean they look really good. I mean, it's SMU, of course. So I mean, how far we can really expect them to go when we start talking like playoffs and stuff like that, it's kind of on the fence. But I mean, it was a very impressive win, nonetheless. And I mean, Miami, they had a big win against Duke. Cam Ward had another high performance. He had 5 touchdowns, 400 yards. Almost had 6 touchdowns at the end. He kind of was trying to stat pad a little bit, go on the Heisman run. But, I mean, I enjoy it because, I mean, when you're in that race, especially against somebody where kind of the front runner is Ashton Genty, who's putting up monster numbers every game, you kind of do have to, keep pace. So I don't really mind it as much. But, yeah, it was a good game regardless. Xavier Restrepo, their receiver, he actually broke 2 Miami records, all-time records.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's some really great Miami receivers like Michael Irvin. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, it's some really great receivers. So just him having that holding that record now is a really big accomplishment for him, and shows like what they've been doing over these past few years. So I mean, we can discuss the rankings if you want. I mean, it was the first set of rankings. See if you agree or disagree with any of them.
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick. Of course, the internet's gonna be terrible right now.
Yeah, but I mean, it was.
I don't think there was anything like out of whack that I saw, but Oregon being number 1, I feel like that's fair. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Ohio State 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I agree with the top 5.
Sound like you're on the fence a little bit. Which one's got you stuck? I do feel like
I feel like you put Indiana over Penn State.
Indiana over Penn State?
Yeah. I feel like that.
I mean, yeah.
I feel like Bama's definitely over Notre Dame.
Yeah. I mean, and like I want to go back to Indiana right quick, because Indiana's they're still undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of it's 5 teams above them that have a loss.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're still sitting at 9-0. While I mean, of course, strength of schedule, that kind of plays into it. But I mean, just showing up and winning every week is what really matters. Because I mean, when we see teams like Clemson falling to Louisville and Iowa State falling to Texas Tech, just being able to win week in and week out, just with that consistency, I mean, that's a big deal. So I mean, I don't think that's something that the committee should look over. BYU is another team as well. They've been looking really good, haven't lost yet. And I mean, I definitely think Alabama should be over Notre Dame. I mean,
100%.
Yeah, I mean, they have Texas A&M at 14, LSU at 15,
and Ole Miss at 16. I feel like that's pretty fine. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't think Colorado should be on this list.
That's how you feel. I mean, they're 20. Let's see, 6-2. Yeah, I mean, it's actually they actually have a actual shot at making the playoff if they can keep winning, get some wins, and get some other teams to lose some big games. I mean, they definitely have a chance. So, this is just the first week. I'm sure we're gonna have we know we're gonna have some games this weekend that are gonna change it up, just with Georgia and Ole Miss and LSU and Bama. So I definitely think if we beat Bama at 15 and they're at number 11, I feel like we definitely jump inside that 12.
I think we're top 10.
Yeah,
gotta be.
Just about to say, I mean, I would really put us at about 10.
10 or yeah. I think Army's better than Louisville and Clemson. I don't know about Missouri, but I feel like Louisville, Clemson, I don't think they're that good.
Yeah, I mean, and like we said, I mean, it goes back to the undefeated aspect, where it's like, how much are we accounting in strength of schedule with a loss? Because you losing a game is you losing a game.
Exactly.
And undefeated is undefeated, but at the same time, I can't understand where it comes in.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of too early to start looking like that. Posted the playoff projection, and
this is the first week too, so.
Yeah, so I mean, there are definitely gonna be some changes.
Yeah.
So but just with the release of it, we did want to touch bases on it and just breeze over it right quick, give our thoughts. But I actually was pretty pleased with the list that they came out with. I thought they did a pretty good job, not being biased.
Yeah.
Because I just knew Bama was gonna be top 10.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know how it always is. But I definitely think it's a big weekend for college football coming up. So I'm excited to come back in here next weekend, go over it again after.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. But So, I think that's pretty much it on college. We can jump into the...
Yep, so NFL-wise, started off on Thursday night with the Jets actually getting a win.
Yeah.
The Texans, actually.
About time. Yeah. About time we see something happen from over there.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but Garrett Wilson had probably the catch of the year. I mean,
it was incredible.
Crazy highlight.
It was incredible.
Like, yeah, it was a crazy highlight. But, I mean, just regardless of that, you know, I mean, it was a complete game for the Jets. They won by 8 points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't a dominant win, but, I mean, Aaron Rodgers he had 2 for 11, 3 touchdowns. I mean, the defense made C.J. Stroud look horrendous. I'm not going to lie. I mean, 11 for 30 is not what I think of when I think of C.J. Stroud going up against a 2-6 team. So, I mean, you know, shout-outs to them for stepping up in a big game, because I do think we were kind of at that turning point in the season for the Jets where it's like we need to start winning or things just aren't going to, like, I mean, you get Devontae Adams, but he didn't sign a deal yet. So it's kind of based on how you guys perform this year, if he can kind of see a future with the team on if he stays or not. So I mean, that was a really good game. Just kick it off on Thursday.
And then we can let's just jump into the Saints real quick. An embarrassing loss to the Panthers.
Yeah.
But there is some good news and also some bad news to come out of that. We did fire DA, which thank God. That was long overdue, but unfortunately we lost Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of a step in the right direction for us to start rebuilding and kind of getting out of salary cap hell.
Like you said, it was a big weekend for the Saints. I mean, to lose to Carolina, that was a really emotional loss. It had kind of the teammates, everybody, the tension was just high.
Yeah.
Fired the head coach. Then you wake up the next morning, Marshawn Lattimore has been traded to the Commanders. So, I mean, it's been some really big moves this past week for the Saints. And I hope that they can kind of get it back on track, because I mean that was it was a bad loss.
Very bad.
Like,
especially since you beat them by 20 the first time.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where some of the disappointment comes from with the fans, where it's like they started off so hot.
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, Saints #1 offense in the league.
Yeah, because that's how it was for 2 weeks. Yeah. Everyone was the Saints are the Super Bowl favorites. They're going.
Yeah. And then just a complete 180. Like, it's almost like unheard of. But
and let's not forget, in those 2 weeks, crime was at an all-time low in New Orleans, which was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they had the city happy, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, things are going back downhill now. So.
And speaking of another NFC team, the poor Bucks, man, the poor Bucks. It's just I don't think the overtime rule is very fair. I think they need to do what college does.
Yeah, I will say though, I do fault the Bucks coaching staff for that loss. If you're in Kansas City and you score a touchdown and you're down 1 point, you have the chance to go for 2 with it was no more than like a minute left in the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of have to. 27 seconds left in the game. I feel like that you line it up and go for 2.
Yeah.
If you lose, you lose. But you can't leave it up to a coin toss, where we've seen it too many times. Mahomes will get the ball and you don't get the ball back.
You just gotta watch.
Yeah, you just watch them walk down the field and
nothing you can do.
Yeah, you lost the game. And it's like, I mean, I personally would have. If I was the coach for the Bucks, I would have gone.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, then you put the pressure on them. With 27 seconds left, let's say you get it. They're down a point. They're pushing. They have to go get a field goal now.
Yeah. And then if you win off a field goal, if you lose off a field goal, at least you're like, okay, well, we did everything we could.
Yeah. Because, I mean, kudos to the Bucks for staying in it. And, I mean, they were able to march down the field on that last drive and score to tie the game. But I just feel like just kind of how the course of the game had gone, I feel like that's a no brainer. You have to go for it. If you lose right then and there. But just being conservative, taking the tie, going into overtime, and losing like that, I feel like it hurts even more.
Yeah, because at least you can look at yourself and be like, we did everything we could. Especially, and even if you don't get the 2-point conversion, you're like.
Yeah, it almost gives you it gives you some room to grow, to improve next week. Okay, this play call didn't work, so we need to find a better 2-point conversion play that we can go to in an instance like that.
Exactly.
But I mean, just taking the field goal and watching him walk down the field, it doesn't really,
definitely leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say, they're looking. I feel like Mahomes always just needs that one receiver.
Yeah.
And this game, it was DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
I mean, this was his coming out game as a Chief, and they look scary now.
Yeah. And I also heard, on some trade rumors that they're looking to get Tyreek Hill back.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how true that is.
The Dolphins aren't doing much with him right now, so I mean,
if they get Tyreek Hill back, oh Lord.
I mean, they're already 8-0. I mean, I think it was a crazy stat. I think it was the most games that they've won in a row. I think they're on 17 straight now, going back to last season. So I mean, it's looking scary right now, especially just with them starting in jail. Because earlier in the season they were winning, but they weren't winning.
They were getting by.
Yeah,
they were getting by.
But they're actually winning games now, where it's like, they're kind of almost looking back like the Chiefs team that we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
So
the Bengals finally have themselves a definitive win.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow, 5 touchdowns, 251 yards.
Yeah.
So I think they're finally starting to find their rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also think this was a good game for them, being able to go up against a team like the Raiders, where I feel like any team in the NFL is a good team, where it's like, you could show up and win
any day. Yeah, exactly.
But those lower tier teams where it's like you can kind of flex your muscles, just get back in your groove. I think that was actually a really good game for them, and I think they'll be able to keep things rolling off of that. I mean, the Falcons are actually looking pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
They're sitting at 6-3 right now. They just got a win over Dallas.
Yeah, but it's Dallas, so I mean you can't really give it to them that good.
Yeah.
I'm also a Falcons hater. That's just the Saints in me right there.
Yeah, I definitely get it. Yeah, I definitely get it. But I mean, Kirk Cousins, we can't skip over it. 19 for 24, 230, and 3 touchdowns. It's hard to beat that,
Yeah.
So, great game from the Falcons, and most of the other games went how you would expect them to go.
Yeah, I thought Jameis would do a little bit more in the Browns game. I thought he was gonna. Yeah. I thought he was gonna turn it around, but 26 for 46.
Yeah.
1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 6 sacks. Sacks are not his fault, but.
Yeah. Stuff. Commanders, they kept the momentum rolling. We got to see Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors link up pregame.
That was pretty cool to see. That was pretty cool to see.
It was really cool to see. Just especially being here, seeing both of them play in the LSU jersey together, just seeing them on that stage, it was really nice to see. But Commanders, no slow up, and like we said,
with their addition of Marshawn Lattimore, who knows what they're gonna do now?
They're already sitting at 7-2 on the season. They added an All-Pro cornerback, who he's a little bit on the older side, but he's still, to me,
he's locked down. He's locked down.
Top 10.
Just ask Mike Evans.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's definitely one thing I will miss seeing Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans
go at it. Yeah.
But I definitely think, just as not a Commanders fan, but as somebody that enjoys seeing the Commanders do well because of Jaden Daniels and just everything that they have going on, I definitely think this is going to be really good for them. And I'm excited to see what they do, because they're looking like they're trying to make a playoff push this year.
They might get into
that's
it.
A rookie, I mean, yeah. So.
And speaking of the other Heisman Trophy winner, the Bears. Oof.
Yeah.
They got
tough game for the Bears. Yeah. Tough game for the Bears.
They look halfway decent against the Commanders, and then you come out and only score 9 points.
Yeah. All field goals.
All field goals.
Yeah, I mean, we need touchdowns. I mean, had a safety. I mean, yeah, the offense, it just didn't look like, like I think some of us, like you said, like the performance last week.
Yeah.
I think we were expecting a little bit more out of that, but I'm not sure if it was the Bears offense or maybe it was the Cardinals defense. But
he was putting up Jameis Winston numbers, 21 catches for 41 attempts, only 217 yards.
Yeah.
It's not too good.
Tough game.
They don't win you football games, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the Eagles, they got to win over the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I think
they scraped
through the game. I think the Saquon Barkley.
Oh, that was sick.
Yeah, that's the takeaway from the game.
I don't know how he did that, but that looked like old Saquon right there.
Yeah, backwards, hurdle, yeah. And it was crazy because he had just spun
move, yeah.
Before. And then it was like, oh, what's he going to do to the next one? He might just put his head down, just...
Nope, turn around and jump.
Turn around and completely clear the dude backwards. And, yeah, I mean, he had the internet buzzing. That was a really good game. Good win for the Eagles.
Yeah.
They're sitting at 6-2 now, so, they're kind of getting things back on track where we kind of thought, it might be an off year for them. They're starting to get things back on track.
The Ravens are still rolling along.
Yeah.
They've destroyed the Broncos.
Yeah. I mean, I think what most of us would expect from a game like that. But, yeah, so the Lions, they actually had a really good game against the Packers as well. So, I mean, and I will say without one of their best, if not their best DB, Brian Branch, he got kicked out the game like first quarter for targeting. So, I mean, just being able to hold that Green Bay offense down like they did, I definitely think, it just goes back to showing like Dan Campbell knows how to win games.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, it might not always be as high scoring or they win the games in a lot of different ways, but they're continuing to win. So, that's all that matters. And, yeah, so I do... Yeah, we heard your sob story for the Saints. I have one for the Seahawks as well. I mean, we lost in overtime to the Rams after. I mean, it was a great like fourth quarter comeback. I mean, it was I was really. We scored with 51 seconds left, and we haven't really put any good drives together leading up to that. And I mean, Geno was just dicing them up. The touchdown pass was literally a beam in between 3 defenders, and it was just perfect. But I mean, this is a Rams team that
came down to a coin flip.
Yeah, and once again, I mean, it's like it's tough for fans
to swallow that loss. It really is, because it's not like your team got beat.
Yeah, it's like we just keep beating ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not sure if it's, Geno, 3 touchdowns, 360 yards, that's cool, but the 3 interceptions it's the game. I hate to...
Who knows, if you take one of those interceptions away, you could turn it into a touchdown,
Yeah, a field goal.
Something.
To where when it's the end of regulation, we have that extra 3 points, extra touchdown that we need to win the game easily, like we should have. But giving away possessions is, especially like it was 2 red zone interceptions where it's like we're in prime scoring position. It wasn't really needed, and you're kind of just forcing it, just doing too much. And it's hard. I've seen. Geno has a fan base with the Seahawks.
Oh yeah.
People love him. They're behind him. They want to see him succeed. But it gets hard after a certain amount, because we started off the season so well, and we have a losing record right now. We're 4-5.
Yeah.
So it's like how much longer do we really like say, oh, we just gotta just get things back on track before we? I don't know. I mean, I'm not. When the season started, I wasn't against Sam Howell. Sam Howell did really well last year in a really tough situation with the Commanders. So I mean, I definitely think he has potential to do well with the Seahawks, but I get it. They're stuck on Geno is their guy right now, which I'm not against. But if we continue to lose deeper and deeper into the season, I feel like we should kind of start looking towards at least giving Sam Howell a shot to see what he can do. Because I mean, if he comes out, he does just as bad as Geno, it's nothing to throw him back in.
No.
And just let Geno take back over.
But I just think, kind of like with franchises like mine and yours, we were so spoiled with a franchise type quarterback with Russell Wilson and Drew Brees, and it's hard to go back before we had a lockdown like one of those core guys, like a quarterback. It's hard to go back before times like that because for so long it was always the Seahawks have Russell Wilson, the Saints have Drew Brees, Steelers got Ben Roethlisberger, Patriots got, there wasn't, no one was really looking for quarterbacks because everyone already had their guy. And I feel like now it's kind of a weird shift where there's kind of really not been a production of franchise type quarterbacks like that.
Yeah, I think Jacob actually touched on it like a week or two ago in the episode, and he was like, it's like those tier 1 quarterbacks and then the lower tier quarterbacks, and like you said, like Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, those were those tier 1 quarterbacks where it's like, quarterback position, we're good. And they can always win you a game.
Exactly.
Drew Brees can lead you to victory.
Exactly.
Russell Wilson could lead you
no matter,
to victory.
You could have had the bummiest people on the team. Those guys knew what they needed to run, who they needed to get it to, when they needed to get it to.
Yeah. Kind of like the Mahomes effect, where he just makes everyone around him look
exactly
bad. That was kind of what we had with Russell Wilson. That's what y'all had with Drew Brees. And now that we don't have that, we're kind of dealing with Derek Carr and Geno Smith, who are not bad quarterbacks, but
they were labeled as franchise quarterbacks. They were labeled as those guys that could come in and do all those things that Russell and Drew did,
But I mean, that's just not the reality of it. I mean, they were quote unquote failed projects with their last teams. I mean, Derek Carr wasn't super successful with the Raiders. Geno Smith has bounced around multiple teams. The Jets he didn't really succeed there. So it's like, I mean, it's new opportunities for him, and while they have great moments, they also do still have those moments where we can kind of see, like, you're kind of going back to your old ways. You're not as elite as maybe we thought, or maybe we started to think. So, I mean, it's tough. I think, I definitely think season's still up for grabs.
Oh, 100%.
Especially in the NFC, because, I mean, everybody's kind of on the fence. AFC, you have those really strong teams where it's like, those are probably going to be the guys. But, I mean, I definitely think, any team can get things turned around. I would say, it almost is time for the Saints to start thinking, though, about, maybe not necessarily tanking, but if the game is kind of out of reach, how hard are we fighting back? That's
what I say. I was like, I say you just start putting out. Don't even, honestly, take your starter, your good guys. Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Alvin Kamara. Let's play them, but not all as much. And let's kind of like get them rested up. Let's get some of the younger guys in there. Let's get them some experience. I would say, I mean, let's tank games. I mean, we know we're not, even if we're not trying to, I just don't think we're good enough to win any games. I just think it'd be nice. I said, let's just lose out, try to get the number 1 overall.
Because, I mean, you have if you tank, I mean, y'all are 2-7 right
2-7. I mean,
you're in prime position to get a top 5, at the least a top 10 pick.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, I mean, with the kind of talent that's coming out at quarterback, do y'all value that much to where it's like, because I know you guys just got Spencer Rattler, but I mean, when you kind of look at like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders that you could possibly take with that pick, it's like, how much do we kind of value that?
Yeah, I mean, I think our defense is absolutely fine. Our defense is amazing. I think we got on paper, we got one of the best defenses in the league. Offensively, I truly believe it's a quarterback issue. Derek Carr can drive you down the field, but he cannot get you in the end zone. That's his biggest problem. He can get you down the field 100%, but just getting it into the end zone, that's where he can't.
Yeah.
So,
and that's frustrating as a fan to watch. Like I said, I kind of like, it was kind of like the same thing. Like, we got into the red zone multiple times, and then you throw an interception.
You just can't do anything with it. You're settling for field goals. Yeah. Like when we played the Eagles, we got into the red zone like 4 or 5 times. We just couldn't do anything.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, that's tough because it's like you're not performing bad, but the results are bad, and you're losing games because you can't finish. But I mean, you can't really, I mean, it's tough for the quarterback, but it's also tough as a fan watching.
Yeah.
We can't really see any problems besides that. Like you said, I mean, defenses look good. Seahawks defense has looked good. I mean, and I mean, we're kind of forced to look towards the quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's not like these teams don't have weapons. I mean, you got DK Metcalf.
Yeah, JSN. I mean,
we got Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. I mean, Taysom Hill. Who else?
Rashid
Shaheed. I mean, he's kind of an unsung hero, but not like one of those big names. But yeah, I mean, you have weapons, and it's just you can't do anything with. You can't do anything with it because. Some people say it's the offensive line. Some people say it's Carr. Some people say it's the coaching. I'm just.
Some people say it's the coordinators. Like, I mean, it's a lot. I just want things figured out.
Yeah.
As a fan, that's all I want. I just want things figured out. So, I mean, looking forward to next week. Saints, they have a home game against the Falcons. Always
new head coach too. So
always that rivalry game where it's like. It just means a little bit more.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we could lose all the games, but if we beat the Falcons,
we'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, I've genuinely heard it from Saints fans where they say, "Yeah, we lost to the Panthers. It's all right. If we beat the Falcons, though, that's all that matters."
That's all. Yeah, exactly.
That relationship back and forth, they gonna hear it for the whole year.
Yeah.
Whoever loses. So.
And then the Bengals got a big one versus the Ravens.
Yep, in Baltimore. Tomorrow night, and I mean. Like we said, the Bengals are coming off of a really good performance. Joe Burrow 5 touchdowns, but it was against the Raiders. So I definitely think this is this is going to be a good test for them, mid-season test to see if they've really turned things around. And if they get the win, they're sitting back at 500.
Exactly.
And then start. So.
Then you got another toilet bowl game with the Giants and the Panthers.
Oh yeah.
We don't got to talk much about that. I'm sure that'll be a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
I feel like the 49ers and the Buccaneers, that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, that should be a good game.
They seem like they're pretty evenly matched.
Yeah, just based off of how they've both been performing, I think that should be a pretty good game.
Bills and Colts, I think that's Bills all day, every day.
Bills all day. I mean, Joe Flacco, he did all right with the Colts the other day, but they lost, and I don't really think that was the answer. I mean, I wasn't happy with what AR did as well and just how he's been performing, but I don't think Joe Flacco is necessarily the answer either. So I think they're in a tough spot right now.
Broncos, Chiefs.
That's easy.
That's easy. That's Chiefs. Patriots, Bears. That's another toilet bowl game. I feel
two rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, but I feel like the Bears might pull this one out.
Yeah.
They're playing at home. Steelers, Commanders. I'm going Commanders that one.
Yeah. It might actually be a pretty good game though.
Yeah,
the Steelers have been doing pretty good.
They are 6-2. It might be it is at home for the Commanders. So.
Okay. Yeah. The first game with Lattimore, we'll probably see him.
Oh
this week. Yeah, because I mean the trade happened pretty early in the week, so he'll get out there,
Probably.
I mean, he's got so many years of experience.
Yeah, they'll probably throw him in easy.
Like, yeah, you could just drop him right on there, and he'll be out there making plays. So.
Vikings Jags. I see a big day for Justin Jefferson on that one.
Yeah.
Titans Chargers. Another game.
Yeah.
Eagles Cowboys. Eagles roll through the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Cowboys they don't even know what the even Dak said they suck.
Yeah.
Jets and Cardinals. That one might be an interesting game.
Yeah, because I mean, Jets coming off a win. Cardinals are the Cardinals. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually might roll with the Jets. It's crazy. The spread is sitting at even. Right
Yeah.
For that game.
I feel like the Jets might pull this one out.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna roll with the Jets on that.
Lions and Texans. That might be a good one.
Yeah, I think that's probably gonna be the best game that we get this week because I mean, it's at home. It's back in Houston. They said that Nico Collins actually, he could possibly be off the IR and maybe make it back for this game. So I mean, that's huge for them because he was their wide receiver one, and C.J. Stroud has really missed having him out there.
Yeah,
it's like just from watching the games and just seeing the results of the game, they've been losing, and I mean. So, I mean, yeah, I definitely think having him back could be a really good thing. But also, they're coming off of a loss against the Jets.
Yeah.
So, it's home game for them. I think this is a big game for the Texans. I feel like they'll play up to the level. But I still got the Lions out, though.
And then you got Dolphins at the Rams.
Yeah,
that's another toilet bowl game.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's kind of like how we were saying, like, the top teams are, like, really dominant.
Yeah, and then you got like these lower that can go either way depending on who really wants to play that game. I guess
it's a lot of lower level teams as well. So I mean, so should be a good weekend. I think I'm more excited for the
college
football, just with LSU and Texas. I mean LSU and Bama, of course, and then Georgia and Ole Miss. So those are two games that I'll definitely be keeping up with. But yeah, so I mean, looking forward to a good week of football.
Yeah, me too. That's pretty much all I gotta say.
Yeah. So I mean, thank you for watching. You can check out our articles discussing high school, college, and much more on GridironFootballUSA.com. And I'm Daryl Felker.
I'm Zach Wade, and thank you for watching the Football Huddle.